right, welcome back, guys, to the Talkaholics podcast. This is Razia,
This is Iman.
and we're starting off this episode talking about a day that just recently passed, International Women's
Yes.
Day. So happy International Women's Day to the ladies listening.
Happy
Um,
International Women's Day. It's such a long name. Sorry.
we're calling it IWD from now on, just to make our lives easier. Um, and today we're gonna go through and talk a little bit more about what this day is about, focusing on the theme that they established this year, which is I choose to challenge. So we kind of like did a little bit of a lookup and and saw that they wanted to talk about ways that we can choose to challenge gender bias and inequality in the world. So
Yeah,
that's what we're
which
going to
is
talk
a
about.
big one, you know.
Oh yeah, as broad as it can get, really. And we're gonna go back and forth personally and talk about what that means to us and how we see the world in that through that lens. But before that, we kind of wanted to also point out that over on our Instagram channel at Talkaholics Studios, um,
Instagram channel.
what did I say?
You said Instagram channel.
Oh, well,
Instagram.
it's a page on Instagram. To go check over the campaign that we're doing this month, that we did last year as well, to highlight some amazing POC or by POC women in all sorts of fields, entertainment, like mental health, politics, etc., that we think
Yes.
need some more love. And we're so excited about it every year. And this year we have like a lot more women that we highlighted than last year, but also
Yeah.
we're just
Yeah.
happy with the
Last year I think
response.
we just did a week, and this year we're kind of sprinkling it throughout the month.
Yeah, we're highlighting two ladies per week over the month of March, as like a nod also to Women's History Month. So go check it out. We're really excited by the response so far, and yeah, let us know what you think about that, and if there's people we should be highlighting maybe next year.
Yeah.
But that being said, Iman, did you want to get started on what you're choosing to challenge regarding this topic?
Well, I was telling you this before, but like it's very hard to pinpoint, and I think that's why they had to make it so broad when they said, gender bias and inequality.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess like personally for me, how I choose to challenge those things is literally like existing as a Black Muslim woman
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
in this world, in this society, and just like, and I think that because of who I am, and like because of the different things that make me me,
Mm-hmm.
um, I I I think we all, like, all BIPOC women and
Mm-hmm.
folks have like a unique perspective on life
Right.
and provide unique experiences in the work that they do in whatever field that they're in. So like for me, I work in the nonprofit world, and in my work I make sure that I'm continuously looking for ways to champion women.
Mm-hmm.
And like luckily for me, I work in a space that is majority women and that focuses on women.
Yeah.
But like in that space as well, I'm looking for ways that to champion the voices of Black Muslim women specifically,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't really see that a lot. So like that's how I do my work to challenge, inequality and that broad statement. Um, yeah, and I know that sounds really vague still because
Yeah.
because I can't pinpoint like specific activities, but it's just like whenever I see an opportunity
Yeah.
to celebrate or champion, uh, you know, a woman of color, I try to do so.
Right.
That's how I see it.
Which is kind of amazing that like it's a cool thing that BIPOC women like kind of innately like we're born with the responsibility to kind of represent ourselves like it
Yeah.
which is like an amazing empowering thing, right? Because so many of us are smart and more than capable and do amazing things every day, and at the same time that feels sometimes like a burden, right? Like to be able um, represent the people that we come from, like the communities. But yeah, sometimes that just is with existing as that kind of person. I think that's awesome. What I had or how I responded to this theme is kind of like it's twofold. Personally, like when I look out into the world, when I consider like ways that we can um, empower women or encourage women to kind of lead the lives that they want without limitation. for me, like first thing that pops up is kind of um, like the expectation of women in their careers and their roles in life. Like I think the biggest difference between us and like men is like usually their balance between work and life can kind of be seamless, and they can kind of choose to focus on whichever they want because they
Mm-hmm.
have the time and the freedom to do so. And women aren't necessarily given the same luxury, because there's that expectation to settle down and become a mom, and then if you happen to also want a career, you have to juggle both, right?
Yeah.
um, which can make women kind of make decisions that they don't want to, or sacrifice or compromise more than they're willing. And especially during COVID, we've seen that a lot, with far more women leaving their careers to be able to take care of their kids during COVID because they're at home, which is like a statistic that's not nice to hear. Given that there's another partner in the family, they can
Exactly,
also
right?
is also part of the family household, and kind of makes you think twice that we'd like to think that we're at a point now where things could be 50-50, or at least carried sort of evenly, but that continually is not the fact. So things like that I wish it weren't the case. And we know about the glass ceiling and stuff. I could go on about those kind of limitations for women in the workforce. um, but on the flip side, it being knowing that I love to make art and I love to write characters and things like that, I'm always cognizant of representation of females in stories, and especially if I'm writing somebody, I tend to write in my own personal time. Like I don't usually put this stuff out there, or haven't yet. Written about girls and women who look a lot more like me. So that there's also like the intersectionality aspect of this, which we've me and Iman have talked about so many times, right? Like
Yeah.
it's one thing to talk about women, and it's another thing to talk about women of color. So
Yeah.
it's those stories that I think we can do a better job of. Like me and Iman have done so many movie reviews on this channel, to kind of explain, when we see a stereotype, we kind of point it out, and we're just used to that. We walk into a movie theater, and if we see a story featuring a woman of color and they do something that's really stereotypical, or really to a specific pointed narrative, it's hard not to notice it and be irked by it. So so things like that
Yeah.
um, from a personal standpoint, that's how I see it. It's more around characters, and then worldview is more about that work-life balance stuff that we're not necessarily. It's not as easy for us to balance, but
Yeah, and
yeah,
I don't know, it's hard to even see a world where that is completely gone.
yeah,
Like
no, yeah,
it's so not only is it entrenched in systems and how society functions, but it's a lot of generational trauma, I
yeah,
guess you would call it. These thoughts and ideas are passed down from one generation to another, and as much as we try to let it go, I feel like it holds on real tight.
yeah, yeah. It's it has a lot to do with culture. I think, again, on top of it being a brown female, and then you might being a black female, it's also being Muslim on top of that. There's already
Yeah.
ingrained ideas of what a woman should be doing in her life. I don't even have to spell it out. Both of you already know what that looks like
Mm-hmm.
for us. Certain expectations by certain age, that stuff, we know what that looks like. But it's I think I mean it'll I have hope that it'll change, increment, a little bit every year, every generation that goes by.
Yeah.
Um, because there was a time even that would be weird for a woman to go, travel abroad for school by herself, right? And that's something that Iman did, right?
That's, yeah,
Um,
very true. I mean, it wasn't without a fight,
oh
but
no, no, we were aware of the PowerPoint story,
wait,
and that was on the podcast.
I forgot
Um,
I told that story.
um, but
I,
yeah,
I,
no,
I,
it's
yeah, I continuously think back to that, and I really think, wow, I really made a whole PowerPoint to convince my parents to let me, an adult, leave this country.
right. And it no, but it's and the thing, it being a lot of white women wouldn't have to do that. Let's just be
Yeah,
frank about it. Um,
yeah. I remember I saw a TikTok once, and it was this white woman being um, if you're over the age of 18, what do you mean you have to ask your parents to leave? Just do it. And people would like stitch the TikTok, be like, no, it's not how it works. Like someone would be like, yeah, I'm black. That's not gonna work. So I was like, I'm Muslim. I'm a Muslim woman. That's not gonna work.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a reality for everybody. um, but yeah, it's just it. They seem like small like things to some people, but like they have huge impact for what you want to do with your life, right? So
That's true.
and learn and grow, especially like at that age, at being 18, right? Like having the opportunity to do those things, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of how I see it. Um, but
Yeah, I mean, I think you that actually brings up a good point for me, because now thinking back at it, like if I hadn't fought to do the things I wanted to do, I would have just like, if I had just like let it go and stayed home, I would have missed out on so many opportunities, like so many learning experiences for myself to grow into myself and
right.
like become a more independent, self-sufficient woman.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I can't even imagine who I would be if I hadn't had those experiences. Like they're very integral to who I like, how I grew into myself.
Right. Yeah. And
Um, yeah,
I was just gonna say that I feel like it's not that like some there could be so many other families and so many other women who have probably wanted to do the same, and it's not that they were told no, but also just like people who just assume that they're not gonna hear a no, so like not try. But I think that
yeah,
that's that exact idea that is like so detrimental, right? Like the fact that we know that that's not something we have easy access to, that's the
yeah,
kind of
yeah. Like that.
unfortunate.
Not only the assumption, but also like there's a big idea that it's not like there are certain things that aren't necessary,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
they're not requirements to live a
exactly.
good life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I'm not gonna say travel. Like if you never travel, you're gonna have a bad life. No, that for some people, like that's not necessarily like
A priority or
a
something.
necessity, or like
Yeah.
a they don't think that it's something they need to focus on. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
they don't make it a priority for themselves because they're like, okay, like it's not a big deal. I have other things I need to focus on.
Right.
But you can make it the idea is that you can make it a priority, and some people think they can't make it a priority
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
what they're told, of how they need to act and what they need to do and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. Um, yeah. So I think our overall like impression. Now that kind of we're running out of time a little bit, I guess like one thing we can point on Iman to like wrap this up is what would you like love to see for the future of women? Like if we think about, um, the girls growing up right now who are um, kind of figuring out what their culture looks like, but also knowing that like we're questioning what women can do in their lives. Like what would you
Mm-hmm.
love to see? And like maybe let's make it specifically to what Muslim BIPOC women. Like what would we love to see the future allow them to do?
Yeah, I mean that's a loaded
It's a
that's a
lot.
loaded
Yeah, no.
question. But like, I mean, aside from like the, the gender equality, the equal pay, the,
Yeah.
you know, equal opportunity, all that stuff that of course we all want for women.
Yeah.
I just would like to see like spaces where young Muslim women and BIPOC women can thrive, like
Mm-hmm.
spaces where like they can thrive within their own, like within a diverse community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, not always having to go into these very whitewashed spaces and hoping for
Mm.
the best,
Yeah.
but like having more spaces that are diverse and are open to including them, because
Right.
like that's not the case for a lot of uh, like a lot of fields right now.
Yeah.
It's very like whitewashed, especially at higher levels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
I
so
agree.
I want
Yeah.
to see like from as young as possible, like from high school and onwards, like having spaces for these young women to network, to learn, to grow, and then to see role models, like people who are in the fields that look like them,
Mm-hmm.
and like just having paths to success, whatever success looks like for that individual, whatever, like having the opportunity to do what you want, what makes you happy, and
Mm-hmm.
find success in that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that was really well said. I was gonna go down a similar route of like, I think I would hope for um, girls and women who look like us to think that because of where they come from. So like the language that they speak, what they look like, what they wear, is not gonna have as a extreme impact on what they want to do in their life, if that makes sense. Like I feel like a lot of people, if a girl were to say, I want to go into something like STEM, or I want to go into something like acting, that somebody wouldn't come around and look at them and go, but you're XYZ, you're a brown Muslim and you wear a hijab, therefore you can't. Like
Exactly.
I would love, and maybe, I guess maybe I'm pointing more inward. I'm pointing more to our community to be willing to be like, those two things can exist at once.
Oh yeah,
there's
for
not a
sure.
compromise, right?
Our communities need to do a lot of work.
Yeah, yeah,
For
yeah,
sure.
yeah, and they're not to be like this crazy burden of like having to feel like you got to be perfect on both ends, right? Like you just that you can try, and you can just put yourself out
Exactly.
there.
Yeah. There's way, and this is like, I know we're running out of time, but
Yeah.
this is going on to a way different more a different conversation. But like, there's too much pressure on young people these days.
Yeah, way too
Like
much.
way too much pressure to succeed so early when they really have not even completed half of their life.
Yeah, 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 and on both ends, right? Like the pressure to succeed and never fail, and the pressure to be a perfect woman, brown woman, and Muslim woman,
Yeah.
right? Like that's just, you can't do it all. You just can't.
No.
We gotta just be able to have the opportunity to try and be happy doing that, because sometimes that's enough for
Exactly.
people. But this was a lovely conversation. Thank you, Iman, for your thoughts and stuff. But I would love to hear what our audience has to say about this topic, because it's full of other lovely, wonderful women.
Yep.
And share with us what you think about the future for women. In
What are
and
you
around.
choosing to challenge?
Tell us. Hashtag choose to challenge. What you would love to see change about gender bias and inequality. As always, you can find us on SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple Podcast, YouTube as well, and on our other socials like Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, all at Talkaholics Studio or Talkaholics Pod. But yeah, until next time, we'll talk to you later, guys. Bye.
Yeah, talk to you later.